My name is Joseph Sivell and I'm the Creative Director of Do.collaboration here at the University of Birmingham. And I work on a range of projects that revolve largely around creating touch tables, large multi-touch, multi-user touch tables for museums and archives and libraries.
Can you tell us a little bit about the technology behind the touch tables and the projects you're working on?
Yes, when I say we, my colleagues mainly investigated at the outset of the project various different technology routes to follow. We weren't wedded to any particular one, and it's very much a cutting edge area, so things are changing very fast. It's not a mature medium. We in the end, after several experiments, settled on using WPF, Microsoft WPF, as the main environment, with the Microsoft Surface libraries to drive the tables. But we did and are still investigating using HTML5 to run the tables. The advantage of HTML5 is that it allows for very rapid prototyping, and it can do almost everything that we can do in WPF, which is C#. At the moment, the main problem we have is that we can only get HTML5 to sensibly run about 10 touches. That means 10 fingers could be activating things on the table, whereas WPF allows, and our tables go up to 40 or 50 touches. So you can imagine if you have a lot of people using the table, 10 touches actually don't go very far. If I use 3 on each hand, that's 6 gone to begin with. Someone else joins the table and you've used them all up. So HTML5 becomes really useful for us to prototype and very rapidly our applications. But at the moment we're still using C# in WPF to build the final product.
So what have been the main technical challenges you faced so far, and maybe what you foresee going forward?
Okay. The main challenges in designing applications for public use are quite common to many different platforms, and they are usability issues around how do you make available or make the processes work for a user without having to give them a handbook to learn first, and how do you make it as intuitive and easy to use and satisfying to use as possible. There are various issues around that, but the tables have particular issues which stem entirely from their format. One of the interesting ones is that you can stand at any point around the table. This is called 360 design. How do you create the experience so that it is meaningful to me standing this side as it is to you standing the other side? It poses immediate problems with text. For instance, which way up would a text piece go so that it can make sense to both people? More than that, already we're talking about 2 people using the device at the same time, and actually we really mean more than one. In other words, it can be 3, 4, 5. We've seen 10 or 12 people around the table all trying to use it. So the way that you design your experience for the users needs to take into account that issue with some knowledge of what the likely audience is going to be in terms of size. You would design it very differently if you know that it's going to be a stream of individuals or even a stream of pairs of people than you would if you said, we know that at times there'll be 12 people standing around it. And that's a significant challenge to design the concept of what you're doing. There are other challenges which emerge every day. One is that even though multi-touch is actually very well understood by large parts of the audience, there is still a large part of the audience that aren't aware of it. So many people come up and have an iPhone and they're very comfortable using the table. Equally, there are people who have an iPhone who just don't make the connection that this is the same kind of device and you can use similar gestures. Conversely, there are people who aren't perhaps exposed to multi-touch in the rest of their lives, who very quickly pick it up, and we're very pleased to see the way, for instance, older generations who weren't thought to be, traditionally not thought to be accepting of digital technology, are actually very accepting of the table. And many examples we have been of people coming up and just discovering how to use it themselves, which is what we're really trying to develop. How do you slowly build up their knowledge of use without them even know they're doing that?
How do you see, from your perspective, art and technology coming together and moving a project like this forward?
Well, I've always been very interested in that area. I mean, it always seems to be a madness to separate the arts and the sciences out. However, I also have this soapbox really, which is that actually the split between arts and sciences is very artificial anyway, and in that it's not two camps, it's really three camps. If you separate art and science into two different things, you leave out what actually is an enormous third area which combines and links those two, which is what many of us call design. I'm from an engineering background, but I consider myself a designer. I was a designer as an engineer as much as I'm a designer designing websites, designing posters, designing leaflets. It doesn't really change the mental process, although it does change the skill set and the experience that you might have for those things. People accept architects as designers and they accept graphic designers as designers, but engineers can be designers too. And you see people who are not just polymaths who can do lots of different things, but the nature of engineering has a big design component to it. So I'm very much interested in how you get people from different disciplines and different parts of people's brains thinking together to solve problems. That seems to be vital to do, certainly to do the work we do, but I think in many areas, many disciplines benefit from that. So I'm very excited that in this project is fundamentally set on the premise of exploring how that works and relying on the benefits of cross-fertilizing between different disciplines, although I think it's not just two disciplines.